Hey everyone, welcome to another video about the Injora Rock Buggy. I haven't done one in a little while because we've been having some problems with the buggy recently. So a while back I had an issue with the drive shafts. As you can see here, these are not the original drive shafts. These are ones I purchased off of Amazon in the end. And we're going to be giving them their first run today. And the reason we had to change the drive shafts was because on the original ones, this is one of the original drive shafts, and unfortunately it is broken. The little pin that goes through that hole and is meant to connect to this part. So this is the way the drive shaft is supposed to be, and it's got this little spring piece that retains a pin to keep those two parts together. Well, the pin broke, and the hole, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this, let's have a look. See how elongated that hole is? And it's the same on the other side as well. Whatever metal this is a very cheap, nasty metal. And even though this buggy hasn't had that much running, it's enlarged those holes to such a degree that, well, the pin actually snapped, but I put another pin in and then it just immediately fell out because the holes are just too big. So yeah, the original drive shafts all got taken out, and it's a good job too, because even though the ones that haven't actually failed are right on the brink of failing again, you can feel how much slop there is in there, and clearly the same thing has happened. The hole that the pin goes through has been enlarged massively just by driving the thing, and they're on the verge of failing as well, those ones. So we pulled all of those drive shafts out, and I initially bought these ones. Got these from AliExpress. They're very cheap. And on these ones, this is an unusual feature. So one part of the thing there, you can see it's kind of D-shaped, and the part that slides in has a flat on the shaft. So when the two parts go together, it provides you with the drive to turn both halves of the axle. Great, I thought they'll work fine, until I had a look at this one. These are brand new axles as they came from AliExpress. And I thought, wait a second, how come, you can see that only the top half of the axle is spinning there, the bottom half isn't. It turns out they didn't put the D in this one. It's just completely round inside, no D on it at all, so there's nothing for that flat to sit on, so the two halves of the drive shaft just spin, making that completely useless. So I'm trying to get my money back from Amazon, from AliExpress for those. I waited ages for those to arrive as well. And like I said, then I went on Amazon and I bought these ones, which actually do look like they're quite a lot stronger. They have a kind of spline shaft, halves, and the actual yoke part there looks stronger too. And I got these next day off Amazon for about the same price as I paid for those crappy ones. So there you go, AliExpress, not always your best friend. Amazon for the win on that one. Other issues that we've been having, we're continuing to have problems with these front drive shafts. This is the last one of the original drive shafts that I've got and that I plan on using. They just keep snapping. They snap right out the shaft there where it joins onto the round yoke part. I've snapped, I think, 6 now, 6 of these original drive axles, drive shafts, whatever you want to call them. They really are terrible. So again, instead we've gone with this type, and you can see on the other side, again, it's similar to the drive shaft. It has a nice beefy looking yoke to it, and that one's been in there for quite a while now, and that seems fine. The only issue is on the end that fits in here, the end that actually goes into the pumpkin. These ones here were marketed as or advertised as SCX10 drive shafts, again off Amazon, I believe. And the other end, the end that fits into the pumpkin, is a very slightly different shape than the stock one. The stock one is square on the end, and the SCX10 ones sort of have just two flats. So you did have to grind it very slightly, only a tiny little bit, and then it would fit into the pumpkin there, and that one's working fine. So yes, lots of drive shaft issues, which has been unfortunate. The other thing which is unfortunate, let's see if we can hook this on here for a sec. I'm not sure how or when this happened, but we actually do have a break in the chassis as well. Two halves of this kind of front shock tower have snapped right on the mounting point, or one of the mounting points for the suspension. And again, I think this is a good advertisement for putting a bar in between the shock towers here. You know, one of these metal bars that goes between, or links the frame together elsewhere, it would be a good idea to get hold of one of these and bolt it in between these shock towers, because these are pretty flexible. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, they do move quite a lot. So I think bolting that in between those two would probably have stopped that breakage. Maybe, I'm not sure, but I think it would have done. So yes, unfortunately I haven't been able to find one of those bars yet as a spare, so at some point I want to get hold of one. The other thing, oh yes, we now have a light bar. I don't know if you can see that there. Little LED light bar. Again, my plan, because I couldn't find one of those rods to put in there, my plan, I went on a lot of different places, and in the end I think it was AliExpress that I found this little light bar. It's just like a 3D printed little bit of plastic with some LEDs set in, and a cable with a resistor and a normal sort of servo plug on it. And again, this was advertised as being the exact right size, I thought, to fit in between the shock towers here, and the plan was to bolt the light bar in there as a strengthening piece and to have a light bar. Turns out it is actually not quite the right size, so slightly longer than the advertising said it was. But as it turns out, it's the exact right size to fit in there. You can see it has this little recessed piece which is meant to fit around a round bar, and it fits around the round bar at the top of the cage there absolutely perfectly. There's no screws or tape or glue holding that in. That literally just snaps into place and it stays there pretty securely. At some point I probably will drill a little hole through the little hole there and secure it more permanently. But it actually works really well, and it's not too bad. It's quite bright. There's no switching or anything built into it, so obviously you could add a switch if you wanted to, but I'm just running it straight off the receiver, so it comes on when you turn the car on. Let's have a look at what that looks like now. Right, so we've plugged the battery in, and now when you press the on button for the ESC, we now have a lovely bright light bar. And it's nice and low, so if you roll it, it's not going to get hit. You know, it's completely protected by the cage. So yeah, that was the total result. So it wasn't made for this car, but it fits perfectly. Okay, so we've got all the lights on. Let's see if we can crawl at night. So you would have seen in the video earlier there, I had two of these light bars. Obviously the front one is white and the rear one is red. Other than that, they're identical, and they both just plug into spare channels on the 6-channel Dumbo receiver. Directly in front of the car. They work pretty well. I mean, they give off a decent amount of light. The only issue, of course, is that where it's mounted, the bonnet kind of obstructs the light from hitting the ground directly in front of the tyres when the car's level.
Got the new drive shafts in,
which isn't ideal, but it does give a reasonable amount of light. It does allow you to crawl in the dark. The rear one's very bright, it's really good.
Oh yes.
And the front one's
very cold and a little bit damp.
For the price they were, I was quite pleased with them.
Back one. The red one at the back's nice and bright. And the front, not so much.